This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for July 16th, 11:30 a.m. Here's the graphical outlook from the National Hurricane Center. And the only thing right now that they have on the map is an area in the western Caribbean Sea that has about a 10% chance of development. So things are pretty quiet out in the Atlantic Basin. That's not uncommon for the second week or third week of July. It's usually the end of July and into August things start really ramping up out in the Atlantic Basin. But most of the models take this system generally west to west-northwest into the southern Gulf of Mexico and towards Mexico, flirting with tropical depression status. The only model that really develops this at all significantly is the North American mesoscale model, and that takes it into the Yucatan Channel here in the middle of next week and starts the development while heading north in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll have to see if that pans out, but right now that's unlikely according to most of the models. The other day, the National Hurricane Center had a yellow circle around this area right here in the mid-Atlantic, the tropical wave that's wrapped in dry Saharan air. And this is moving off to the west and heading towards a upper low in the western Atlantic, north of the Greater Antilles. That's going to disrupt developments. There's not much expected with that. Now here's the climatological averages of upper-level wind shear in the Caribbean Sea. And you can see the black line is the normal climatological wind shear, which drops off to around 20 knots this time of the year. But right now we're down around averaging around 10 knots of wind shear heading towards the peak of the season. So that if this trend continues, we're going to see more favorable conditions in the Caribbean for some pretty significant systems this year. And of course the pressures are low down there, so that's not a good combination to have. And we'll keep an eye on this graphic on the rest of the tropical update videos as the weeks close in on the height of the season. Well, so what's it looking like out there right now? Let's take a look at the water vapor loop from NOAA, and we can see a lot of swirls out there, but no tropical storms on the horizon here. There's an area of disturbed weather moving into South Florida. There's, in fact, rumbling going on outside right now. In fact, if we look at the webcam outside, there's some rain on the ground. Just had a good downpour a few minutes ago, but this is non-tropical. This is an upper-level low. The pressure's here around 30.07 inches, so that's very high pressures for South Florida. We're not going to see any development out of this, but this is going to move in and dump a lot of rain in South Florida as it moves into the Gulf. Really nothing expected as far as development. This is an upper-level low. There's an upper-level swirl here that's not down at the surface. And also this is going to disrupt some of the development down here in the western Caribbean as well because it's in tandem with this upper-level low. And again, here's that area out here in the mid-Atlantic moving off to the west, a big broad circulation. But look at this. It's heading into this upper-level low out here. This tut's sitting right out here, and that causes wind shear. 48-hour wind shear map indicates that's going to continue. So right now it looks like no development in the short term here. All right, here is the Saharan air layer dust image from a few days ago, the last update video I did. Look at all the deep reds. That's dry African air, and that does not allow development. It suppresses and sinks the air, and it does not allow these systems to get organized. Now let's go to today's image and look at the difference. There's a lot less African dust out here, but there's still enough to disrupt development as they come off the coast of Africa. We need to see this pretty much go away before we're going to see development out there. So, and here's our other system wrapped in all the yellow and orange dry air, and that will not develop under those circumstances. So it's going to be a few more weeks yet before some of this dust lets up a little bit and allows these waves to develop out in the East Atlantic. And here is the East Atlantic AVN shot. And we have a strong wave coming off of Africa, but that's again going to wrap in that dry African dust. In fact, you can see it on the satellite picture here. All this dry gray area here is going to work into the center of this, and it's going to disrupt development. Here's another strong wave that's going to come off in a few days. That might have a chance as for every wave that comes off Africa, it absorbs some of that dry air and takes the hit, so to speak, kind of like an offensive lineman pushing ahead of the running back playing football. This is the running back here, so maybe this first wave will break down the dry air and allow this to develop a little bit. We'll have to see about that. Here is the steering layers in the upper levels of the atmosphere from SIMS, and you can see that we have several high pressure ridges. We have one right here, we have another one right here, and we have another one right here, and that would indicate that the general flow should be from west to east to west across the Atlantic. They're not going to turn out into the open Atlantic, any waves that come off right now, but there's a little weakness right here, but the general flow should be west towards the Greater Antilles or the Caribbean Sea. So we'll wait and see if that pattern persists going into the height of the season. Here's the upper level wind shear in 48 hours. Again, the green areas indicate southwesterly wind shear, so that wave out there right now will run into this wall. And this is unfavorable for development for systems coming across. Well, that's about it for now. One reminder that we do have the cams continuing for the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico now. They've capped this and are doing some testing for about 48 hours, so we'll see if it holds and keep these cams up and check for leaks and everything, and we're going to have that up on the live feed for the foreseeable future until this is finally capped. So that can be found on hurricanecity.tv. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.